This is Rebel. Today, Rebel and I will be cruising around Las Vegas in a 2020 Rolls-Royce Wraith, a car with an MSRP of 4 or 5 vintage decks, in the most ostentatious color possible, bright glittering white. I took this car from my personal collection, of course. Riding in the lap of luxury, I'll chat with Rebel about all things Commander, and she'll take us down memory lane, opening packs from her favorite Magic block. This is Magic Players in Cars Cracking Packs, an entirely original idea.
Well, hello again, Rebel.
Hello, it's been a while.
It's been quite a while. It seems like every time we run into each other, you have climbed the mountain of Commander a little farther.
That's true. Yeah, it's a pretty big mountain, but you know, I keep climbing
whatever
it.
that guy's name is.
I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think how I want to climb it. Do I want to like use a thing, or like just like my hand? I think more of a hand thing.
So now you're a member of the
CFIB,
which is the
Commander format panel.
Commander format panel,
Yeah.
which means you are now a mover and a shaker when it comes to what happens in Commander. Last time we talked, you were part of the CAG.
Yeah.
Yeah, if my memory serves.
Basically the same thing.
It's the same. Okay.
It's basically the same. There's like one less level of like person to like talk to, I guess, because it's just Gavin talking to all of us. Before it was like the rules committee and then all of us. So I guess it's actually just exact.
So, should I sell my jeweled lotuses?
Oh, I can't answer that one.
That's okay.
Not
Fair.
here.
should I?
You could have slipped me $100,
And we could have figured it out.
and we could have figured it out off camera.
What about
That's a joke.
should I relegate my mana crypts only to vintage decks, which means one deck?
Oh
Same
yeah,
deal?
yeah, same deal.
Because I can at least play a mana crypt somewhere.
Yeah, I totally forgot you could have done that. I forgot.
That's because vintage doesn't count.
Okay, here's my personal opinion
Please.
on these cards.
Please.
I don't. Okay, so for the whole thing, I wrote a paper a long time ago before I was in the CAG, when they were looking for someone to be in the RC, so the spot that Olivia and Jim joined. I was interviewed for that.
Okay.
It was me and a bunch of other people as well. And as part of that kind of the interview, Sheldon asked me like if I were to do anything to like change up the format, like to make it better, what would I've done. So I had this theory that I talked briefly in like a video once. I called it escalation thing. And basically it's like, have you ever played a RTS game on like a computer back in the day?
Absolutely.
You know, at the end of every match, they do that thing where they show you like these bar graphs of like your resources, your military power, or whatever. So I was playing a game and I thought, that's basically what we do in Commander. But except there's like, you know, there's four lines, exactly like if you play StarCraft, there's 4 players, right? And how Commander works is it basically just like escalates, it scales. And everybody, like, no matter what deck you're playing, no matter what strategy you're playing, it's everybody wants to kind of move at a similar pace. What certain cards do with mana acceleration is it moves people much higher and much faster than everyone else.
Right.
Or if they play like a combo that no one talked about, they're ending that game before the expected ending range of what like the players expect. So my thought was we just cut all the fast mana. We cut all the fast mana at the top, then we make the precons a little bit stronger. So now your expected like commander play is a little more squished. So if someone sits down with like their high power deck, it's not that much different from like a siege deck, right? So that was my thought.
So you have that same kind of proper gradient curve as a
Exactly.
resource
Yeah,
expansion, as opposed to it's going up nicely and then suddenly there's an 8 mana commander on the board and the game's over.
exactly. So my thought was like, it's really difficult to try to create a system or a tool for people to find like the alignment they need to play a good game of Commander, because like everyone has a different expectation of fun, everyone expects different things of power. It's
As they
just like,
say, everything's a 7.
yeah,
Right?
exactly.
Yeah.
So instead of like kind of making the players like try to solve that perfectly, which I don't think anyone can. Like you should just get it wrong and just like roll with it and then like do better next game. And just like like it's about
That's how
having
I've
fun.
always felt. Is
Yeah.
I want people to be doing the hardest, coolest things.
Yes.
And if they run me over, it's like, all right, I'll play a different deck.
Exactly.
Let's run this back.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of like politics of that quote unquote rule 0 thing in the beginning.
So I thought if we just eliminated the option for the player to just go like land crypt blah,
Right.
then you won't have as many situations where that happens, right? So I brought that up to I showed that to Sheldon and also Gavin way back when. And they're like, this is pretty interesting, but it was we all knew, I mean I didn't know Gavin's. He just said that this is really interesting. And we all knew, at least for the RC, that this is something at the time that could never be done. Because the issue is that Gavin Dugan told me, this is a really nice idea and it makes a lot of sense. It'll hurt too many players.
People who
already own
bought all of the
Mana
Dan
Crypt.
Fraser version of this.
Yes, the point of one of the main draws of Commander is that it's very stable. The cards you own, you can the idea is you can play most of your collection forever, right? That's why Commander has such a like a do nothing ban list like philosophy, because it's not supposed to do anything. You don't want it to shift or move a lot. So banning cards like Dockside, Mana Crypt, and stuff like that is really tough because players already spent hundreds of dollars in it.
Right.
And if you banned it, no matter how you position it, it's going to be painful for players who invested in it. So to bring it back to your original question, like talking about if those cards will get unbanned, potentially, but I don't think they will from a personal standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
Because the fact, okay, now that the cards are banned, if we unban them and everyone who might have sold their crypts or whatever, they have to buy it back again, like the
more money.
Yeah,
potentially.
The trust, the consumer trust in the product and the format is just gonna not be there. Even though I know like a lot of people want Mana Crypt back and Dockside back, and stuff like and Jewel Lotus. I think the fact that like we're past this point, we're just gonna have to like we'll have to sit with it for like a while, see how it feels, see if people remember like what Commander is gonna be like. Commander was like with those cards, and I don't think they're gonna get unbanned because because of the financial aspect of it, actually.
Well, and you like kind of already ripped the bandage off, right?
Yeah.
With this thing, and now you revert back, and you have more people feeling bad, like you were saying, right?
Yeah.
That I sold my Jeweled Lotuses for $80 a piece, and now they're $150.
Yeah.
Get it back. As much as I like the card, and there was the question of like where else can you play it outside of like doubling cube and legacy, which doesn't really exist. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world to slow down the game a little bit. I don't know. Mana Crypt, I play vintage, so like I have a home for a Mana Crypt. There's one place you can put it. But
I personally think the format is much better without it. And so far, like we're 2 weeks out since the ban, and I've seen the CDH is like much more interesting. And people are much more excited about playing and brewing in the format. So I think overall it's a net good. If I was in my absolute coldest business brain, I would just rip that band-aid off, shed X percentage of players, make the format better, and gain back that audience that would have never known about Dockside or Mana Crypt. That's like my cold business brain.
Right.
But as Gavin D mentioned, like we can't always act like that because ultimately we're here to like make sure we're not here to hurt the players. So that part, I'm not 100% sure how the conversation changed between like when I first brought it up and talked about it to the recent ban decisions. But I think that's like kind of where we're at now.
I think it again. I don't think it's in the worst place. I mean, the world was ending for 2 days or 3 days or whatever it was on the internet, right? But now you just kind of adapt. That's kind of the fun of Magic, right? Is you just adapt. Things change. You go, all right. Well, now, I mean, I was never like a dockside apologist.
Yeah.
Because the CEDH I played just didn't use dockside to some combo nightmare, so it didn't affect me as much. You know, and my slicer deck is slower now.
My point, my bigger point for kind of like my issue around Dockside and Jewel Lotus and Mana Crypt, and this is for all the people out there who are like worried about the non-disparagement thing. You can constructively criticize Wizards all you want. So I'm going to give a constructive piece of criticism. I think the bigger issue is that the fact that those cards were at $80 a piece or whatever. That to me is the problem. If there was no reason why Dockside, which was a rare in a precon, then became a mythic in like a I think a higher price point booster like product, there's no like kind of real barrier to stop Wizards from printing that as a rare, like, or making it an $80 like kind of staple versus like printing it down to like a $10 card. We would have been able to ban it, and the impact wouldn't nearly be as much. The fact that it's like $100, like that's a lot of money. And it's the same thing for Mana Crypt and Jewel Lotus. Jewel Lotus printed. I know Jewel Lotus is kind of like the main kind of chase card in the set. Mana Crypt has that like quality of just like something that you want to strive to like own, but at the same time, it's like the fact that we make these cards, we kind of price these products and release it at a quantity where these cards are at that value, is kind of the bigger problem.
I agree with you. The first time I looked up and found that Dockside Extortionist, it was like $80 or $100. It blew me away. I had no clue. I'm like, oh, it was like a $15 card, whatever. And I looked it up to buy one. I was like, oh my god. So I agree. There's a way to kind of bring the price points down. So like you said, you can make the right decisions in the health of the format without worrying about a financial collapse, which is absurd to say about a card game. But
but like, these things are worth a lot of money, and I think there's also kind of a tendency now to like explore with power how cards are designed. So stuff like Nadu, right? Like, we all know Nadu was like a mistake. That was like a little oopsie, right? And oopsies happen. That's fine, totally fine. The only issue is when the oopsie ends up being like a large, has a large price point on it. And at least for Commander, you don't need to own it. It's a casual format, so you don't have to play like Mana Crypt or Dockside if you don't want to.
Right.
You can still have a great time. But I think with this like more exploration in the cards or like the power level and stuff like that, if any more cards come out that really needs to get banned, but they also end up being expensive, I think like that's kind of like the issue.
I think the CEDH community, I've played and been involved in that. The high power of that, I think, is such a small percentage of the people that play Commander.
Yes.
You obviously know that better than I would. And what I like about Commander is playing janky cards that have been in my binder for 28 years, right? Some terrible, unplayable Commander from Homelands.
Yeah.
And when you kind of slow things down, I get to play that card.
Exactly.
Right. And I put together a deck that is not competitive in any way, shape, or form, but you can have fun at the table without going, oh, well, I forget what the Sphinx's name that takes unlimited turns.
Yeah, I can remember that either.
You know what I'm talking about? The CEDH with time sieve, and it's like, oh, I guess I'm out.
Yeah.
Tivit?
Tivit, yes.
Tivit. Yeah. So, not seeing that on turn 2 it's kind of cool.
Yeah. I think you can always still, I think a lot of people still like want to play Commander as that type of game, right? Like that's where you get to play unplayable jank from draft. Like
Yeah.
you can't do all like maybe if all your friends do it, right? Like that's a really great time. But if you go to like an LGS, probably not because precons these days are like pretty good. But you still have more room to like play just like really just like not great cards anymore
Which I
for
like.
sentimental value or for like whatever, right? So I think overall depowering like some parts of the format is very good.
It slows down the
Players.
arms race.
Yes.
When you have a local group of people, an arms race frequently develots, right?
Yeah.
You come to the table with something strong, and they're like, "Oh, I have to get that."
One person will come with a
And-
mana crypt, and then
right.
it will change the game.
Yeah, exactly. And now we're in a nuclear race.
Yeah. And it's just hard. It goes back to what we were saying earlier. Like, it's just hard to tell people, like, give them a reason to not play something because it just doesn't make sense to like a lot of players who don't think about Magic as deeply or intensely as as we do, right? Like they're like, I play Magic once a week. You're telling me I can't play this card I put $100 for it because people feel bad. Like,
Right.
I don't get it.
I
Like,
have my angel deck.
yeah.
Yeah, or whatever,
So I think for that kind of like use case, it is good to just like ban certain cards to make it easier.
When you bring up something interesting is the very I don't mean casual in a negative way, but the people who play Commander, which is most of them, who don't pay attention to what is coming down from on high, like potentially they don't even know or care that Jewel Lotus is banned, right?
Yeah.
People just sitting around their kitchen table every Thursday night, and they're just like, "Oh, this is banned. Do you guys care? Okay, game on."
Yeah, you can keep going. Yeah.
Yeah. So
And that's kind of like what Rule Zero is really for. I think a lot of like Rule Zero, like the talk about Rule Zero has really shifted it into like a bigger thing than it is. The whole point was just always like, if you want to, I love playing the silver border cards. I love playing those sticker cards from the unknown events at MagicCon, right? Like, on this recent stream, I was opening packs and throwing cards into my deck as we were playing. Like, I don't care. Like, it's fun for me, right?
Yeah.
And everyone at the table, I was like, "You care if I put in like awful like, draft cards into my deck as we play?" And they're like, "No, we don't care." Like, that's what Rule Zero is for. It's just
right.
for
The card,
you.
go get me a Coke.
Yeah,
whatever
for
it is,
you
yeah.
and your friends to play this game as like wild as you want, because it really doesn't matter. The point is just here to like have fun.
And like you said, it's only the top tier competitive decks that really care about any of that, right?
Yeah,
Like you said, you play Silver Border, you want to play the ones with the acorn on it.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Go for
We're
it.
having a good time. And as long as there's no judge or money on the line, like if somebody's upset, shuffle it up, play again.
yeah.
When we talked previously, you said that your favorite block was Kamigawa, original
Yes.
Kamigawa.
Original Kamigawa.
What is that when you got into it, or is that just
Yeah.
one that sticks out to you?
So when I first started getting into Magic, I've been asked this question a few times, like what set I got into it, and the answer changes like a little bit, but essentially the time period is 7th edition. No, yeah, I think 7th edition starter. I bought that one. That's the one with the Palladia golem with the
Yes.
CD and the Thorn Elemental.
Yep.
So that was the first product I bought. But what really got me into it was my friend after school. Every single Friday, he would take whatever allowance money he had left or lunch money. We would go to the comic book store together, and he would have to buy packs of Legion.
Okay.
Because he wanted a chroma. And one day I was like, I don't know what's so great about this game that you keep spending. Like we keep coming here, we keep buying these packs.
Chasing down
This one thing.
card, yeah.
So I bought one pack after he bought 10. And I opened it and I looked at the back. Like I kind of did the thing where I slowly opened it, and the last card I looked at, I was like, how do you spell a chroma? So I opened that chroma, and he doesn't know this, but I kept in a binder, and I'm gonna give it to his wedding when he gets married. So kind of waiting on him to like pull that one together.
That's awesome.
But I bought that pack, and I was like, all right, Magic's kind of cool. I guess like it looks nice. And then what really got me into it was Betrayers of Kamigawa was new at the time. It just came out. And I played a pre-release, or sorry, I played a draft with my friends uh, when we first really started getting into it. I didn't really own that many cards, so I played a draft and I opened a Cranial Extraction, and everyone around me was like, "Oh my god!" because I passed it. And for people who don't know, Cranial Extraction at the time, it's like a 4 mana. This effect has been reprinted many, many times. Cranial Extraction, I believe, is you cast it, you look at one player's hand, and then you exile a card from it and exile all versions of it.
It's lobotomy.
Yeah.
It's straight black, if I remember.
Yeah, it's
right. Yeah.
3 colorless and 1 black. And back in the day, it was $35 in Singapore at least. So the fact that I passed it to a friend, everyone thought I was like, oh, this person doesn't know what they're doing, which is true. And then my friend read it, and he kept it. And then people were asking why I passed it. I'm like, oh, because it has so many words. I don't know what this does. And then my friend, who's much smarter than me, he goes, I don't know what this does, but it has so many words that I feel like that it's probably a very good card.
It's funny. It's not actually the worst decision in draft to pass it because it doesn't do.
Actually, it doesn't. So I'm not wrong.
It doesn't do anything
not
in
wrong.
draft.
I took a creature over it. But what got me really into Kamigawa versus any other Magic set at the time with Maraudin Block, with Onslaught Legions, with 9th edition probably, because 10th came afterwards, I think, was that I saw like the ninjas, the samurai, and like the spirits, like the art style was like very unique to me. It kind of looked like history booky fantasy like mix, and I just thought that was really, really cool. So I bought a lot of packs of Kamigawa, and that's why it's like a very special set, because that's when I like really, really started diving into Magic.
I always remember I had a terrible White Lady deck at the time, and Masako the Humorless that came out of one of those was the biggest combat trick that no one expected.
I had a red-white samurai deck. That was like kind of my deck that I played after like at during lunch at school every day, and it has a ton of Marauding cards in there, and had a Ghostly Prison in there. It had like some Leonin scimitars, so it became like an equipment like red-white like aggro deck ish, but it's not really that aggressive because not that fast. But yeah, that was like the deck I played a lot, and then I figured out for ninjas, if I played Spire Golem, it makes it like really, really good. Spire Golem has affinity for islands. It's a flying
The Popper card. I know
yeah,
exactly. Yep.
yeah. So I made a really, really good ninja deck, and that was like the first time I really started winning a lot in Magic. And that ninja deck was like kind of like my deck for forever. I had like one sort of Fire Knights because that's all I could afford back then.
Right.
Until I got a GT. So they had one sort of Fire Knights, one GT, and it just like 4 Teardrop Kamis, 4 Spire Golems, a bunch of unsummons. Like I figured out how to build like a really good tempo deck with no idea. Like
bunch of unsummons.
Yeah, what I bunch of unsummons and some boomerangs. It was super annoying.
Boomerang is a card that's very close to my heart. Just straight up
That's a permanent.
old school.
It's
yeah,
really
exactly.
good.
2 blue Boomerang. I love it. And it, for the longest time, was in my Sneak and Show deck. And I played it at Legacy events, and people thought I was nuts because I was, and it's definitely worse than other options. But Boomerang, I agree with you, is the real deal.
Yeah, sometimes it's brutal for you to be on the play, bounce your land.
Yep, it's as close as you can get to land destruction.
Yeah, and then
In
I
play.
think at the time for standard or extended, there was like a boomerang plow under deck. It was like blue green, just like bounce your land, destroy your land, and then play like a troll ascetic or whatever. What are you gonna do? Lose.
That it's funny you think back and you can still think about like that deck, right? And those decks that you loved that long ago. And it's one of the things we're talking about with Commander is that that's where you can still try to make that magic happen,
Yes.
right? Like there's no constructed way to play that deck and be good, but you can like a Commander deck that bounces a bunch of crap, plows under, and you're like, all right, this at least can hang with my buddies.
Yeah, so what I like to do is I like to take decks like that, or like kind of sets of cards or like play patterns I used to really enjoy in other decks, and just jam them into like one Commander deck. And just so I can see it, and just so I can play with it a little bit, even though like it's not nearly as good, but it doesn't matter because I like playing those cards.
Right. And it's all worth it, even if you just get completely rolled over to plow
Yeah.
under one person.
Exactly.
That makes the whole thing worth it. So I have the Kamigawa block in that
Glove box?
That glove box. Thank you. It's called the glove box. Yes.
This booster box?
This booster box in there. And if you could check to make sure there's still a red, there is. Okay, good. Then if you would like, you can open that. I promise there's not a puff adder or a snake in there.
Wow.
Okay. There wasn't. Good.
I haven't touched one of these in like forever.
Do those still say expert on the front?
They do.
Yes, they do.
do.
Oh, it's amazing.
I love this. I love like kind of old Magic like packaging. There was something really cool. Like I think we are kind of like chasing back that aesthetic now with a lot of merchandise and stuff.
Mhm.
I think like Wizards gets that. A lot of people find it really nostalgic. But to me, there's like something really cool about their design back in the day. Like when you walk into a LGS, all the precons say expert on it, and they have a generally similar like packaging, but like different cards on it, or like different art on it.
The little symbols on the top. With
Yeah,
the name.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like you get why the back of the cards look a certain way because everything kind of like looks that way. And like nowadays, like the design just doesn't exactly match what the back of the card looks like, which is fine. But like when you see stuff like this, it's like, oh, it's cool.
Yeah. It's just beautiful.
Can I open these?
I would love it.
We'll start from.
That light does absolutely nothing, but there we go.
Let's start with champions.
I remember opening an entire box of champions trying to get the 1 mana deal 3 damage to a player.
Lava Spike.
Lava Spike, and I think I pulled 0 out of the box.
So rough. It's a common.
Yeah.
We get a Koopa. Target player dealt damage by wicked Koopa to turn this 1 life. This was like pretty good. Because if you get in, you could just like tap all your black and burn out the other player.
And it was 2 to come out, right?
Yeah.
So that's a pretty good rate for back then.
Yeah, this was like I feel like this was like a good draft card. That I had no idea how to draft it well back in the day. I still don't know how to draft it anyway.
I'm a terrible draft, yeah.
Blessed Breath, I played this a lot. I had a feather Kamigawa deck that was play all the arcane and like spirit cards so that you could like splice and like get stuff back. So Kenzan Bruiser. Hisoka's Guard. I remember they printed Hisoka like way later. I think it was in either Betrayers or Saviors he was printed. Serpent Skin. The art for like this set was really good. I think a lot of people were really turned off by like at the time kind of like how weird the spirits were. But I love them. I just feel like they're so distinct.
Yeah, I think it's just a difference in the mythology, right, of what a spirit looks like to Western medieval fantasy.
Exactly.
Right, is that it's a person with hazy legs.
I love Nezumi Ronin. I tried to like make I think I tried to do like another samurai deck because I also really like the samurais.
Mm-hmm.
So I like the Nezumi like samurai deck. I tried to build because they had more, like they printed more later. Terashi's Cry.
Bushido, didn't they?
They did, yeah.
Which I thought was a great ability.
Bushido's a great ability for like when you're playing in limited, but then that's why I made like all the cards kind of bad compared to other formats, because for these cards to be on rate with other creatures, you have to block them. So if you don't block them, they're like two kind of 1/1s. So you're like, okay, I'll take one. The expectation that this thing becomes a 3/3 is only if you ever decide to block. Or if it blocks. Peer through depths. This is the one that finds like the unspeakable. So like if you did this, and then the 2 other cards, and you can get like the unspeakable out. And that was like, back in the day, like the coolest thing you could do.
That, and I think it was it Mirage? Whatever Spirit of the Night was in. It had that same concept where you could get like 3 other things out.
Yes.
And then it would bring Spirit of the Night.
So Cutthroat. Hideous Laughter. Oh, this still gets...
That name sounds familiar. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like this was played because it does all creatures get -2/-2 at instant speed. That's still pretty good.
I was about to say, that's decent.
Oh, I got Sensei's Top.
Oh.
That's a banger. we got like I was trying to think like what's the best card you can hit in Champions, and I think this is pretty close
That's probably
to
it.
being the best card in Champions. Let me think. Yeah, Honored Worn Shaku. This is a good card. You can tap your commander or like any other like this played in Sisei. I think it's also played in what was that dude called? Uh, Godo.
Oh,
So two playable cards. Horobi Death's Whale. Horobi,
that name sounds familiar.
whenever a creature becomes target of a spell ability, destroy that creature. 4 mana, 4/4. I played this in like one of my decks. I tried to make it work.
You know, it's funny. 4 mana, 4/4 for that time period was an incredible rate too.
4 mana for flying is a good rate
That's fantastic.
until it becomes like an illusion. But it turns other creatures into illusions. And then this was also back in the day when the legend rule was if your other opponent plays it, they both die.
Oh yeah, was it Geist of Saint Trapp that finally
Yeah.
made that go away?
Okay, let's go to second pack. We hit the top. So
I mean,
what else?
yeah, you really hit the best.
I
part
would-
of the set.
I would like to see Takino, the samurai. Takino, I forgot what the rest of the name is. That would be like my dream hit here because I just love that card. Or it would be Myojin of Infinite Rage, because I had a story with this card. One day I just saw one on the side of like on the side table next to my bed. I
Mhm.
was like, I don't remember ever opening this. Why is this here? But I just thought it was like literal magic. Like the magic fairy was like, here, have a Myojin of Infinite Rage.
Left it on the side of your bed.
Yeah.
You woke up.
Hearth Kami, this one's sick. Tap X, sacrifice to destroy target artifact. With mana value X. Yeah, that mana value. Oh, Soratami. I tried so hard to make a Soratami deck good. It's just so like it's just difficult because you have to bounce all your lands to get any effect. But like this one, the 4 mana one that counters spells, is like really, really cool. I love the Orochi. They're like super cool as well.
Are those the snakes?
Yep.
Yep.
There's the dad who gives everything. It's like a +2/+2 on all snakes, and I think he does the effect where everyone draws cards. Then the son, I think gives it regenerate. I can't remember, or death touch, and then the daughter turns them into dorks, or she is a dork. Distress. Oh, this one. It's also nostalgic. Target player reveals, and you can choose a non-land card from it. Oh, it's a duress.
Oh, it
Oh,
did.
that's 2.
It's almost him to throw. No, it's only one card, right?
Yeah, it's only 1. Whenever you play and then Kami the Painted Road, I played this in a spirit deck I made. Whenever you play a spirit arcane spell, it gains protection from that color of that choice until end of turn. Oh, Soul of Magma, I played this in the same spirit deck. Whenever you play a spirit arcane spell, it deals 1 damage to a creature. Kami of Twisted Reflections, sacrifice it, bounce a creature you control from its owner's hand. Wear Away, I played this too. Just to destroy artifacts.
Oh,
Disenchant,
that's still-
a splice.
Recent.
Rag Dealer. This is exile stuff. Befoul. Destroy target land or non-black creature. It can't be regenerated. This is like probably playable on Casual Commander just because there aren't that many sinkhole effects in black anymore.
No.
They stopped printing that.
Yeah, which makes me sad because I was always a black land destruction player. Back in the ancient past.
Kitsune Riftwalker. One of my favorite cards is I can't remember what it's called. It's a 3 mana Kitsune with First Strike, and if you equip an Odaichi on it, or like I forgot what the Samurai Sword is called, it was like unbeatable. Reciprocate. Oh, I played this so much. Another Sensei's talk.
Okay.
Let's go. And then Numai Outcast. I like this card a lot. It's a 4 mana 1/1 of Bushido 2. And you can pay 5 and a black to regenerate her.
Well,
So-
sorry, did you say 5 to regenerate?
Pay
her?
5 life to regenerate a 1/1 of Bushido 2. So for 4 mana, you get a 1/1 that sometimes becomes a 3/3 if someone ever decides to block it. And if someone decides to destroy, you're like, no, I can just donk myself for a quarter of my life.
It's a lot of X.
Yeah. And then we were just talking about Hisoka. Hisoka was in this set.
Oh,
Discard a card, counter target spell, and the same mana value as that discarded card. So that's pretty sick. It's also not a tab ability, so you can do it immediately. I might just play this today. All right, now I get to Betrayer, my favorite one with Ink Eyes. Ink Eyes is like
guys, Servant of the Oni.
yeah, Ink Eyes is so cool. Higure, the blue. Ninja was super cool. You have Umatawa's Jite, and then I'm trying to think what else we want to see here. That's kind of, at least for me, that's kind of it.
You got two tops, so I feel like there's a Jite in it.
Yeah, there's probably a Jite there. That would be pretty special, like open another Jite pack again after all this time. Skull Snatcher still playable, playing Yuriko because I guess play Yuriko. I don't know. You can exile cards out of the graveyard. Split Tail Miko. This card was so hard to pronounce, or like it was so hard to say it fast, or like I kept saying like Spilt Tane Miko, Split Tail Miko. Frost Ogre. I played a bunch of Frost Ogres. Oh, Mistblade Shinobi. This is like one of the best ones because you can bounce. You definitely played in the I think a Pauper Ninja deck. I think because it bounces a creature for one. Harbinger of Spring. I played this one. This was a banger. 5 mana protection from non-spirit creatures. Soul Shift 4.
Soul Shift.
Psychic Sphere. Target player reveals their hand. Choose a spirit or arcane card. Stir the Grave. I played this too because you can tap X and put X creature cards back into your hand. With Soul Shift, you would just like your creature dies, is Soul Shifted, play this, pick up those creatures again, and then like play other tiny creatures while they're just like playing eroding cards and beating you. Prevent the next 4 damage. Mending Hands. Eye of Kaminari. I played this a lot. In my deck. I just played all these things. I played Phantom Wings. I would Phantom Wings like a creature and then be like, oh, this is a really good idea because now I can ninjutsu it even if the Phantom Wings falls off.
Does Phantom Wings give it flying?
It gives it flying. You can sacrifice Phantom Wings to bounce the enchanted creature back to the hand. So broken. Petalmane Baku, I played this a lot because he can remove key counters to ramp. Genju of the Falls. Genju of the Falls, same thing. I played it in that ninja deck for a little bit. Body of Jukai, 8 mana trample, 8/5, Soul Shift 8. This is actually quite a good card. For 8 mana, you get an 8/5 that turns into like, I think it's target, turns into something else. Oh, Shuriken. Okay.
All right, getting there.
It's not an artifact. Oh, it's Genju of the Realm. Yeah, this is iconic. This you enchant. So there's like that series of auras here, the Genjus, and then you have like the big 5 color one. So if someone wants to play this as their commander, I will let them do it 100%. You just like keep enchanting your lands and like pay commander tax. Enchanted land becomes a legendary 8/12 creature of trample until end of turn. And when enchanted land goes to graveyard, you can return this enchantment back to your hand.
Rule 0.
So strong.
Rule 0, you heard it here first.
Rule 0, Rule 1, whatever. It's legal now. I'm gonna bring this. I'm gonna text Gavin right after this and be like, we have to make this happen. Genju of the Realm.
That would be an amazing first
like
press release from it. This is now legal commander.
This card, yeah. Prime Time, Coalition Victory, all those cards you're talking about. No, we'll deal with that later. Genju of the Realm. All right, now we're in Saviors. Saviors at the time was so notoriously bad. Like people just did not like this set.
I remember.
There was nothing good from this set, and then there's mechanics like sweep, which I love. Barrel down Sokenzan. So this one is you bounce any number of mountains you control, and it deals twice that number to a creature or 3 mana. So you could just bounce all your mountains and kill one creature, and then just replay all your mountains.
And then just be 8 turns behind.
Just be 8 turns behind. The one card I played, so I did play like 1 or 2 copies of this. The one that I really liked was, I think it's called Charge Across the Arava. It's 5 mana white. Sweep your planes, and it pumps like the entire board. So that one's like actually quite good as like a lethal spell.
Yeah, that lets you win. This one lets you kill a creature and lose.
Vinamos, Scrollkeeper. I played a bunch of these in like a different deck. That was all about like hand management. Akino Nightwatch. I remember fondly that I've tried to make all these cards work Kitsune Dawnblade. When it ETBs, you tap a creature. Beautiful foil. But this one's not foil. Spiraling Embers deals damage to target numbered cards in hand. So a big thing in like Saviors was like hand size. Like you had stuff that would extend it, things that would like reduce it a lot. There were some Zoomy cards that like would reduce hand size by 2, hand size by whatever. And then yeah, that was like something they explored with. I just don't think like that really is caught on. It was
That
like,
was
very
like stuff that
bizarre.
you punished for hand size. Like what's it called? Storm Seeker.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. You boom, take damage equal to number or something like that.
Cut the Earth Bond, secure a Tribe Scout. This is played.
That's yeah.
This ramps things. There we go. We found the good card.
He's on the best card.
Yeah, secure a Tribe Scout. I'll play the same today. Kuro's Taken. I love this card. 2 mana, 1/1. Regenerate. Kuro's Taken for 2 mana. Bushido 1. This card is probably better than the 4 mana Outcast we just saw because you have to pay 5 to regenerate it, and it has the same base stat of 1/1. Kitsune Bone Setter, Sunder from I love this one. This is a destroy an artifact or land for 4 mana. I lied. This is the best card.
Was that Hand of Cruelty?
Hand of Cruelty.
Yes.
Hand of Cruelty, Hand of Honor are the coolest cards ever because it's like such a cool play on Silver Knight,
The
White Knight, Black Knight, all those. And then they made this had one of my favorite standard decks ever that I turned into a CDH deck. That's not very good. That some people know. It's called Hand in Hand. It's just 4 Hand of Cruelty, 4 Hand of Honor, 4 GTAs, and then also played like the Orzhov cards from Ravnica. So it was like a really like cool, I guess mid-range deck that played these hands.
I loved anything like, again, Black Knight, White Knight, all those old classic leany cards.
Yes.
And that fits right in there with it.
Akuda, Born of Ash. I remember this guy. 4 mana haste. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you have more cards in hand than each opponent, you may sacrifice a swamp. If you do, you return Akuda, Born from Ash from your graveyard to play. That's like kind of cool.
That's fair. Yeah, it's a...
Yeah, you could be like, your Akuda dies, and they're like, oh, you don't have that many cards in hand. I'm like, nah, Burial Douse Kenzan. Put all the mountains back in my hand. Now I can sack my only summon, put down my 3/2. Suck it. What are you going to do with your 1/1 with Bushido 1? For 4 mana. Kamigawa's like a special. Like the original Kamigawa is just like a special, I don't know, set of just kind of weird synergistic cards, and there's just power, like their base stats are all so low that they're all of them just not playable. But they're all very cool.
I love how different it felt. It
Yeah.
was such a departure from the same kind of, we're on a slightly different plane. It's a slightly different, whatever. And this, you just said the name. Something. I love that when you play a card that has a 12-word name, it's just that much more impressive. You know what I mean? Boom.
I can't believe we got 2 Sensei's tops. That's like kind of wild.
I mean, that's probably the best thing.
Yeah.
A lot of it outside of the 1 foil per 6 cases or whatever the drop weight was back then. Sensei sounds right. And Sakura Tribe Elder, which is Tribe Elder?
No, it's the Tribe Scout.
Tribe Scout. It's one.
Steve would have been good to open here too.
He is in there, isn't he?
Yeah.
But the Tribe Scout is the one that lets you tap to put a land in play, right?
Yeah. This is a Sam Black favorite, I think. Sam Black loves playing this card. At least when he first started playing CDH, he tried this out.
It's 3 playables. That's honestly,
3.5.
Kamigawa rate. That's very good.
Great. Yeah. It's not like Mirodin where it's like he opened 1 pack, it's like, oh, all playables. Clark Clan Ironworks, all artifact lands. Okay. Mirror Retriever. This was why Kamigawa was such like a shock. Like, because we just came off of like one of the most juiced, broken sets in Magic. And then now you get like 4 mana 1/1s. Where 4 mana in Mirodin gets you Clark Clan Ironworks.
See, what I think I understand they always have to kind of set that slows it down, right? You go power creep, and then you need one that kind of gets things back to normal. At least you're going to do that, make it interesting, right? Yeah. And Kamigawa was certainly interesting.
That's cool.
But yes, you're absolutely. I'm thrilled that not only did you go through them, but you have such like a working knowledge of Kamigawa.
Oh
After,
yeah, after all this
I don't
time.
even know how long ago it was. I know when I was trying to get lava spikes and how long ago that was. I will point out you opened 2 packs and did not pull a lava spike out of any of them.
Yeah, that's so funny.
I'm pretty sure that lava spike
It's a
actually
rare.
wasn't in the set. That's my conspiracy theory.
Oh,
Is
oh,
that
like
you can only get it through
the
somewhere.
bears, like the Bernstein bears. That
Yep.
it was actually never in that set.
Oh yeah, like the what's it called, the Mandela? Yeah, it was
Yeah,
never there because I
yeah.
never pulled one out of a pack, and I was
It's
a
a
Burns player,
conspiracy.
and I never pulled one, and it was before you could just go online and have 4 delivered to your house tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean that was a big deal. Like, actually, I remember, uh, when back in the day, like I had like a dealer, like a guy who like just knew like who to talk to that had like a lot of cards, and then he would like I would just text him and be like, I want these cards. He's like, cool, I'll find it for you by end of week. And then
Yeah,
like we would meet up at the LGS. I give money and I get it, right?
and that was like a thing, right? Like if you knew someone like that, that was the real deal. This is straight Floridian moves right here. Forgive me.
Oh, it's all good.
This is the Uber drive. Sorry. But yeah, having like a connection or like a local comic store that actually had cards,
Yeah.
like that was mind blowing back then.
So I think at one time I stopped by this like small town in upstate New York, and they had a magic like store. I think it was a card shop, but they mostly dealt in magic. So like it was in college, and my roommate like took me there and went in, and I was looking at all the binders. They had like a ton of binders everywhere, and I asked like, oh, because we were gonna play Commander later. I was like, oh, can I buy like a Kiki? And they were like, it's $15 for members, for non-members, and like $20 for members. I'm like, wait, what? He's like, yeah, there's a membership system here to buy cards. I'm like, that okay, I just won't buy it. But I think
Thank
the
God for the internet.
y-
Oh my God.
yeah, but I think like the reason why that stuff exists is because like in in the past, like what are you gonna do?
That's true.
What
What's your option?
exactly? Are
You
you
need a Kiki Jiki.
you need a key cheeky? Are you gonna just like try and crack one open or find someone else? And I assume they just kind of like kept that system from back then because like nowadays you just order online.
Right.
But it is such a game changer, that like if there's a new like the deck that came out after a set released, your only shot is to like crack a lot of boxes. That's your only option.
Yep.
Because you can't just go on TCG Player or whatever. And so this was like what I was gonna say earlier. I remember distinctly in high school. Um, One day this kid who played Magic with us came over and was like, "Oh, my mom let me make an account on like I don't know if it was TCG Player. I think it was Cool Stuff Inc. or something. It was like one online retailer. I was like, oh, she let me make an account there and I can order cards from America. And we're like, oh wow, that's so sick, dude. We never did because also back then like it was just online shopping was just kind of like new. Like eBay was kind of new or like newer. So it was like, oh, I don't know if the card like if it will really arrive in time, stuff like that.
Right.
What happens?
Oh God, if there was a time crunch to it.
Yeah, so it's like nothing like now. So it's just like so different.
And where were you when you were ordering?
Singapore.
Singapore. Yeah, so it's not going to be timely. Right?
Yeah.
You order something from Star City or Cool
Yeah.
Stuff or something like that.
So we had a lot of LGSs and like they crack all the boxes, so you can still do that. But like if the LGS is gone like out, you're just kind of stuck.
Yeah, you know what's funny? It feels like it's for me at least in the modern day, trying to get like commons and uncommons is way harder. Right? You can get
Oh,
online
yeah.
and it's super easy to get whatever the Jace card is. But if I need consigned to memories, you're in
Oh,
trouble.
you're screwed.
No,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that actually, so now we're kind of back to that world again because uh the big stores aren't incentivized to open that many boxes where like if they run out of stock of like Monstrous Rage, right? They're not gonna go cracking a box for Monstrous Rage
Right.
because it's just like not worth it. So then now you're like, oh, Monstrous Rage deck is like the deck I need to play this weekend. How am I gonna source 4 Monstrous Rages when like all the fast options are out? Your only option is like TCG player and like ordering it from 3 different people and like hopefully it gets
And hoping that one of them drops down with the expedited shipping button.
yeah.
That's because that's kind of your only. Yeah, I'm getting to the event hall far earlier than I want to tomorrow. Try to snatch up the cards that I just couldn't find.
Non-foils also just get scooped up now.
It feels like with collector boxes, it's easier to get your hands on a foil,
Yeah.
right? Like it doesn't feel special anymore. Like when you pull a foil out of one of those old sets,
Oh, it
with
was a
that
big deal.
shooting star.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It was so cool. I mean, that's what kind of people were talking about when collector products first came out. Is like with this many variations and with this accessibility, it's gonna feel a lot less special. But like that's true, but I think so. So I think regular foil cards definitely just like does not feel special at all, just
Right.
because like you get like 6 of them in a pack. But I do think like the extended art stuff and like the alternate art stuff, like all that is still like feels really special.
Yeah. Oh, there was some in Duskmorn. And I don't know much about Duskmorn. Like it looks like a neat set. I just haven't like done a deep dive. But there were some just stunning alternate art foil with like the silhouette of the person's face. I think there's one of Kaio
Yeah.
Suzuki.
Yeah.
Just stunning to look at.
I love what they're exploring with
Mhm.
like these alternate like styles.
Yeah, I know some folks were not thrilled because it was kind of it's not the ring, but it has that kind of feel, right? Saw, that kind of
Yeah.
feel, and like stuff like Duskmorn. But at this point, what's the baseline, right? Or are we still thinking of the baseline as like, oh, Dominaria from 1994?
That's true.
Or
Yeah.
just go wherever you want. I'm thrilled with all these.
Yeah, I'm not like so I'm not a super big fan of Duskmore. Because it's kind of like what you're saying. The baseline to me is like it has to be fantasy related and like the cheerleader stuff. I thought like the UFO stuff, like I thought that was like really kind of bizarre to me to have as part of like the magic world. But at the same time it's also just kind of like it's like pulpy, you know, like I
Yeah.
don't care that much where it's like, oh, now they're aliens. That's like such a game changer in my fantasy world. Like
You
I
know what's
can't-
funny? Since there's no blocks anymore, no one will remember it in 4 months.
Yeah,
right?
it's
Like,
true.
the fact that there's UFOs and magic will just be gone.
Yeah. There's just also so many cards being printed that if you miss Duskmorn, there's a good chance you might never see those UFOs.
Yeah, exactly. I just hope it doesn't become like a weird card that I don't love the flavor of. Doesn't become like a legacy staple or
That
something.
you have to like see all the
And
time.
I'm like, oh, I have to always see pre-war formal wear
Yeah,
or whatever
yeah.
it is. And I only sort of know what that does because I'm not a Death and Taxes player.
I have a blindness to Doctor Who cards. I actually like Doctor Who, but I just for some reason I can't connect with them when I see it. Like my brain just goes like no. So actually I was like deck building right before I came here, and I had a big stack of Doctor Who cards. As soon as I hit that stack, it's like oh, where away? I can play this. I think I went through like a bunch of really good cards, but it's like my brain just does not want to read them.
No, because they're all wall of text.
Yeah, it's
What
all
it
wall
does.
attacks.
Oh, and then time travel. And
Yeah,
this, and
and
it's
then
like,
it's just a property that while I like, I don't connect with as much. So I just like don't.
no, I like to watch it as a TV show.
Yes,
And
exactly.
then that's where it ends with me. You know what I mean? I watch it and hey, that was fun. I think the most excited I got going through Doctor Who Max was I pulled a Ponder. And I was like, hey!
Yeah, me too.
Hey, Ponder!
I think I was trying to find ponders out of that. Like I was reading the list, and ponder was literally the thing I was like, oh, this is the only thing I want.
Yeah, because it's a Ponder.
Yeah, because I needed ponders for my Tempo Doomsday deck.
So are you playing in any events this weekend besides just
I'm
casual Commander stuff?
I'm
Are you-
playing in the Secret Lair Showdown,
Okay.
which is like kind of like my tradition now. Whenever I go to a Magic Con, I go to one Secret Lair Showdown. So it's modern. Playing Storm, Brian's favorite. And then I have an unknown event on Saturday,
Okay.
which is cool. I like those a lot. And then afterwards, I'm just gonna be playing more like Commander around. It's like the hall.
just hanging out, playing around.
Yeah,
I've heard the unknown events are awesome.
they're
I've never actually
fantastic.
been to one, but
Like, I think it is like the most, like the best Magic experience you could have because it's exactly what we were talking about earlier. A lot of the cards don't make a lick of sense, right? If you try to like make it work in a rules sense, it just won't. But everyone is there to be like, yep, like we'll make it work together because we're here to play the stupid thing or the silly thing. So then we'll suspend belief for a second and be like, all right, this card says that like you get 3 Y counters if you have 3 pins from like Minneapolis. Okay, or like this one guy, I remember I was in the lounge and we played an unknown plane chase thing, and one of the planes we landed on was like creatures you control get plus X for each pin you have, and this guy goes, he pulls his backpack and puts it onto the table, and it's covered in Magicon pins. He's been collecting these pins, so not that we had an issue with it, but we had to call a judge because the rule said it has to be on him. So he went, if I hug this bag, is it on me? If I wear it facing forward, is it on me? And the judge was like, you know what? For you, it is. Because you are the badge guy.
I love that there's a judge call. And
Yeah.
the poor judge comes up and goes,
So funny.
oh no.
So that's why I think unknown events are just like fantastic because everyone goes and play like you play like that, and it's just like such a weird, wacky time.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Rebel, thank you for coming with me on this drive through parts of Vegas that we basically didn't see.
Yeah.
But that's all right. Because what
Thanks
we
for having me. What we did see was
Kamigawa
the Sensei's hops.
all day. Well, hey, thank you. And I really appreciate you coming taking a ride.
Of course. Thanks for having me. Always good to hang out with.